States still moving forward with today's primaries despite the CV-19 concerns, including the big state of Florida.
Here to weigh in is Florida's GOP Senator Marco Rubio. Good morning to you, Senator.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Guys.
So what is your opinion of that? Do you think Florida should still continue to have the primary?
Well, it's not. I don't think it's fair for me to pass judgment on it because I wasn't in those meetings with the governor and the Florida health authorities who reviewed it all, looked at the disruption it would create, and made that decision. As you heard in that clip that just played a moment ago, the governor was advised by the leading health authorities that he relies on, that they thought that activity could go on without it posing a public health threat. And so, absent contrary information, I'm not going to question the decision that they've made. At this point, it's happening, and I don't want to be out there discouraging people from voting at this point.
All right, so let's talk about the relief bills that are working their way in your lap today. And then Steve Mnuchin will introduce a third relief bill coming your way. From what you've seen, what stands out that you like and don't like?
Well, first of all, let me just say this. We are not living in ordinary times, okay? These are not ordinary times. This is not a bunch of businesses who made a bad decision and now are looking for the government to help them out. This is a virus that threatens our economy because in order to prevent this virus from killing a lot of people, we have to force people or ask people to stay home and not go to businesses. And the result is people are going to lose their jobs, businesses are going to close, and we're going to have to do something to buffer that.
Absolutely.
And so that's the way I would judge everything that we're talking about. What the House passed is not perfect, but I think the price of inaction at this point is way too high. In the meantime, whatever's wrong with that bill, we will look to fix in a bill that will start here in the Senate that we need to pass very quickly and that I think will be focused on, number one, allowing airlines to continue to operate, because if we shut down the airlines, we're going to have not a very different country. We're not going to be able to move people around, important trips that need to happen for public health and for national security and so forth. And the second is we need to get funds, we need to get liquidity into the hands of small businesses who are not going to be able to meet payroll as required under the paid leave requirements of the House bill, and are going to struggle to be around 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks from now when everything sort of settles down a little bit. And so that's the part that we're focused on. We've got a pretty good outline that's bipartisan. Obviously, we need to hear from more of our colleagues, but that's the piece I'm going to focus on, and we need to move on that very, very fast. We have no time to spare.
Senator, you just used a word we don't hear much these days from Washington, and that is bipartisan. It seems like lawmakers on both sides of the aisle realize the gravity of this particular global pandemic, and they're pulling out as many stops as is possible by Washington standards.
Most of the things we do around here, despite the fact that we're given to hyperbole, the vast majority of things we do here on a daily basis are not going to be remembered in the long view of history, maybe not even a year from now. Yep. This is going to be written about 100 years from now. This is a global event that will fundamentally change the structure of the world political order, the world economic order for a generation. This is a huge event that's happening, and for our country, it's very impactful. That makes partisan bickering and pot shots at this point trivial. We will have time later on in the future to examine all the decisions that were made and to figure out who made mistakes so we can prevent it from happening again, and people will be held to account. Now is not that time. Now is the time to act, to keep this from being worse than it needs to be. And we can't do that if we spend all our time taking political pot shots or arguing over ideological purity.
And thing is, could this be one of the last times you guys get together in this era of social distancing? Is it safe for the senators to be packed into a chamber? Or do you guys have plans?
Well, that's a great question. And I would say about that, the argument I've been making for 2 weeks now is that we cannot assume that we're going to be able to operate with business as usual. Right. Just think about how different the world looks today than just 7 days ago. Mm-hmm. And I think it will look fundamentally different 7 days from now than it does today. We cannot operate here under the assumption that we can keep coming back every week and passing bills. We're going to need to do as much as we can while we are here, because we really don't know what happens 7, 10, 15 days from now. We don't, and we shouldn't pretend that we do, and we should operate under the assumption that we can't just quickly come together again to act.
How do you vote?
Well, that's a great question, and it's one of the arguments about continuity of government that I think needs to be examined and looked at. Our government has to continue to operate. We're not going to suspend the Constitution. I believe that one of the things that needs to be focused on by the leadership of the House and the Senate is how can Congress continue to operate when a substantial number of their members may be in quarantine because they or a family member has been infected, or because they frankly can't get here because of travel arrangements become impossible.
That's right, because a dozen members of Congress are self-quarantining right now. None have
You can
tested
do video
positively.
conferencing. That's becoming a big thing now. Thank you so much, Senator, for being with us. Good luck today.
Thank you. Everybody hang in there.
Yep.
Well.
You too.
Thank you.